Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 401. I am Brendan. Let's go. UFC Fight Night Prelims. Ludovit Klein versus Thiago Moises taking on each other. This is from the Imavov versus Cannoneer Fight Night that just took place. If you're looking for the main card and the main event, that's in the last video. This is the prelims. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. Let's get into it. Let's go talk about all the fights and the bad decisions. A couple bad decisions, a couple questionable stoppages, couple questionable non-stoppages, including the main event. Or sorry, not the main event, the feature prelim. I always say the main event prelim, but that's not right. It's the feature prelim. So, Ludovit Klein taking on Thiago Moises. Moises going with the hard low kicks, and Klein going up top with a partially blocked one, trading kicks for a while. Neither guy is separating themselves. They trade kicks for most of this round. And then Klein landing a huge left straight, gets through and follows up, but just can't get the finish. He outstruck him here 20-11. They made a big deal out of that last little sequence, like that's what made the difference. It is not what made the difference. He was ahead already, and then he just put a stamp on that round for sure. Great round for Klein. Moises needs him. He's not out of it. It's doable. He just needs to land a good shot. There's a possibility that Moises could outpoint him. It just didn't look like that was going to happen. Klein landing a shot to the nuts, real nice foul there. Trading those kicks all day. Kicks are about even when they're just doing that, but when Klein throws his hands, he's finding the mark and going to the body well. That's how he was getting up on the striking numbers. Klein getting this the surprise takedown, slamming Moises' face to the mat, and who rolls under for a really deep knee bar, but Klein gets out of it, lands some damage as he's pulling ahead. Moises' corner is delusional. Moises' corner telling him that he's winning both of those rounds until the last little sequence. That is not what happened. Klein did not land 9 extra strikes in that last little sequence. He landed 0 ground strikes, so significant strikes, that is. So those 9 strikes that he was ahead was because of the distance fighting. He was down that round. I don't know if Moises' corner was telling him that to keep him motivated. They know their fighter better, but they're fucking delusional if they really think that's what happened. So I had him up 20-18. Last round, another nut shot for Klein. Real cool. Double fouls here. Klein getting the better of it on the feet. Klein landing a kick to the body, and Moises goes down, and then Klein lands 13 shots to his guard where Moises doesn't move and just covers up, and they don't stop it for some reason. Show some consistency. We'll talk about it literally in the next fight. It just makes no sense, right? In this fight, Klein, I had him winning 30-27. I think all 3 judges had it 30-27. That is accurate. Cool. In this fight, Klein lands that shot to the body. Moises curls up in a ball and doesn't respond. Okay, we'll talk about it in literally the next fight, but that's ridiculous when it comes to let's go into the next one and we'll talk about what happened in the next fight, and then I'll talk about it together, because it happened multiple times on the night where it seemed like they just decided whatever they felt like doing in the moment was okay. All right, Carlos Prates versus Charlie Radtke. This fight it always seemed like Prates was kind of, it's going to just take a couple good shots for him to make him realize that he can't do this against everybody. But against Radtke, he could. Radtke gets in his face and lands some really tight hooks in the clinch. Prates finding the mark with the low kicks and a nice left hand. Radtke coming over the top with the lead hook and a nice straight. Prates doesn't seem affected by any of the strikes that much. And then Prates gets an eye poke, which is real nice. Real good eye poke in there with the thumb. Digging for the brain. Prates lands his... Prates. Oops. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. Prates lands a knee to the liver, and it's over. So, these 2 fights, both guys, Klein and Prates, they both land a shot to the body that crumples their opponent. In both cases, their opponent curls up into a ball against the fence, and you can say, oh, well, Radtke was hurt worse. In the moment, you cannot tell me that either one of them looked any worse or better than the other. In the moment. Now, afterwards, the fact that Radtke took longer to recover, you could say he was hurt worse comparatively. Sure. than Moises. Sure. In the moment, you cannot do that. You cannot tell without the 15 seconds of hindsight that Radtke was hurt worse than Moises. They both did the exact same action. This was back-to-back fights, and this fight got stopped without a single follow-up shot from Prates. Not a single follow-up shot. He did the walk-off, and Radtke didn't stand up. Had Klein done the walk-off? Is that what it is? I really hate that this has to happen. I don't like it. I tell people all the time, too, with this thing, like this walk-off thing. Every time a fighter walks off, they're forcing the referee to make a decision. They're forcing the referee's hand. They're actively involving the referee in the fight, which is, I don't think it should be allowed anymore. I know walk-off KOs look cool. I know that a walk-off, it's great for highlights. I get it. I'm not saying you have to follow up and beat the guy into a bloody pulp. I'm not saying you need to ruin the rest of his life with the next couple shots. That's not what I'm saying you need to do. You need to stay active in the fight and keep engaged. Otherwise, the fight continues. You have to follow up. Because you walking away is the same as that person laying on the floor not wanting to come, not wanting to stand up. You're not engaging in the fight. Because all you've done is force the referee's hand. That's all you've done. You've forced the referee to step into this fight and make a decision. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the referee says, hey, he's not that hurt. You got to continue fighting. And sometimes they say, oh, well, I guess he's hurt enough. Let's end the fight. Unreal. I can't believe this still happens. Like, it's like that. It's like these commissions are government agencies. It's so crazy. They're just incompetent, inconsistent, unreasonable, unlikely to change, unwilling to change. I understand that some things shouldn't be changed at a moment's notice. I get that. But there are things that we have 15 years of proof for, 15 years of evidence, 15 years of case study where we can go back and show, hey, in this scenario, this is not okay. In this scenario, we can't do this. In this scenario, you must step in. I just think it's ridiculous. Jesse Butler versus Brad Katona. This fight was not interesting. I mean, the last round was more fun to watch until it wasn't. Most of this round, Butler, started with the kicks to the outside, looking really good, and Katona catches the kick, and then Katona gets on top. And that's the whole round. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I could see why Katona got cut. I really do. I've watched enough of his fights now to where I get it. Butler lands a nice right hand and then it kicks to the body and gets caught, and he's down again. 4 minutes and 49 seconds on his back in this round. Butler finds the mark with trading with Katona, but Butler's just not doing a good job of keeping his range. He's waiting too long for Katona to come in to boxing range, and Katona's landing every time he moves in. So, because he's longer and he's got that reach, like, if you can play counter striker if you're the longer fighter. By the way, he loses this fight. He slipped on a kick and ends up on his butt and ends the fight really boring. But the last round was more fun to watch. If you're the taller fighter and you want to play counter strike, that's fine. May I recommend Global Offensive? Anyway, if you want to play counter striker, that's okay as the longer fighter. It could be better. It depends on your technique. The point is you have to keep them at your range when you're countering. So you have to, as they move in, you have to counter them before they're in their own range. I know it seems basic and it seems like that, like, well, no shit. But that's not what was happening here. And I think part of it was he didn't want to throw his kicks because he kept getting them caught. And he probably likes to use his kicks a lot to keep distance and measure. But you got to make the adjustment, man. And much like, James Vick or Stefan Struve, these tall, lanky guys for the division who just don't use their range, when that littler guy comes in there and he's in range, like they land nasty shit on the inside and that guy goes down. like Stefan Struve, Vick, they go down. It's because they're just not good at using their range. I've seen it a little bit. I've seen it from a lot of fighters, but you gotta, if you got long arms, man, use them. Throw that jab out there. Montana De La Rosa taking on Andrea Lee. This fight wasn't too bad. De La Rosa trying to bully her way in, throw more out there. Lee keeping the guard high and jabbing well. De La Rosa gets a takedown, but gets swept to the bottom. Tries a triangle, just not able to do it. They get back up. Lee clips her coming in, and De La Rosa goes for the rear naked choke standing up, but there's just nothing there. Lee landed the bigger shots in this round, absolutely. Looking at the striking numbers here, 27-14 in Lee's favor. Clearly her round 10-9. Second round, Lee slipping the jab, finding the body with some hooks and the kicks. De La Rosa, when given the time, she is landing some really nice shots. Fake to an uppercut, and a great step-in up elbow, just a pop, step-in up elbow, beautiful stuff. De La Rosa outlanding her there and had her best combo of the round, 19-19. She only outlanded her by 2 strikes, 33-31, but she definitely did more damage. Last round, both women having success with Lee landing the better shot straight down the pipe. De La Rosa ducks under, gets the back. Lee eventually rolls out of it, but took enough damage in that position to put De La Rosa up. And then Lee needs a really big sequence down the stretch to win, but she's just not going for it. She just wasn't doing it. She was playing kind of safe, trying to point strike. I don't know if her corner was telling her she was up to. I don't know if she thought she won, but clearly, De La Rosa won this last round. Let's look at the scorecards because I think there was a Yeah, Rob Pope gave the first 2 rounds to Lee, and then Saul D'Amato and Derek Cleary. God, when Saul D'Amato and Derek Cleary are your voices of reason for the night, we've got some fucking problems, yo. Fucking Bob Pope. Good grief, guys. Pay attention. I mean, that's not the worst scorecard. I think you could possibly defend it, but jeez. Okay, let's get moving because we got a lot of decisions to go through here. Crapola. John Castaneda versus Daniel Marcos. Marcos staying in his face with the pressure, landing that right hand at range, finding those knees up the middle. Marcos finding that mark with the right hand, puts Marcos down for a second. Sorry, puts Castaneda down for a second. Castaneda needs to throw a big blitz, a total, like a bunch in a blitz, and then stay out with the low kicks, or he was just going to get picked apart, which is what ended up happening. So many hard right hands from Marcos, 10-9, obviously his round. 28-24, striking numbers were relatively close. So many hard right hands, though. Castaneda finally able to press him to the fence, not being backed up. Marcos avoiding being controlled for too long and then finding the mark with the knees up the middle again. Those right hands all day. Castaneda pressure is adding up, and Marcos looking like he is slowing down slightly. And Castaneda able to find the mark with a decent left hand and get a takedown. Marcos did slow down in this round, but Castaneda wasn't able to take advantage of it. It happened so late in the round, and he got outstruck again, 26-13. Last round, Castaneda had multiple opportunities in this last round with tired Marcos and a hurt Marcos near the end of the round. Marcos is going to need to do some work to be able to last 5 rounds if he has title aspirations, but overall, a good fight for him. All right, Denise Gomes taking on Eduarda Moura. Eduarda Moura, who missed weight by half a pound. She's gigantic. So, her missing weight is, half a pound doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but for those of you guys who have never cut weight before, the last pound is the hardest. It's just, it is the way it is. Like, that half pound, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. If you miss weight by 0.1, missing weight, like, okay, maybe the scales are slightly different or whatever. Or take your shoes off, I don't know, or take your underwear off, that kind of thing. But half a pound, I know it doesn't seem like much, but it is a lot. Moura going for the takedown. Gomes getting the tight guillotine, squeezing for it, just can't get it. Let's see. I thought maybe she burned herself out, burned her arms out. She didn't. She looked fine after that. Moura getting the back body lock takedown, can't hold it. Moura gets a takedown, not able to do anything with it. That's the story of this fight. Denise Gomes outstruck her 7-4, able to get. Moura was able to get in control a little bit this round, but she did no damage. I gave this round to Gomes. Second round, Moura goes for the back, but ends up on the bottom. Can't do anything. Moura is spamming takedown attempts and getting stuffed and taking damage. Gomes is just walking away with this one, 21-5 for striking numbers in this round. Had her up 20-18. Not a good look for Moura. Gomes able to stay up for most of this time, landing the damage, 22-9. Easily Gomes round. There's no question about this. These second two rounds. That first round, if you gave it to Moura for the control time, maybe we could talk. But now, I have a 30-27. One of the judges, let's see here. This motherfucker. Hey, I found you again, you piece of shit. Fucking with people's money. Again, Mike Bell. This one was a cut and dry one, right? This should not have been hard to score. Junichiro Camijo, I'm not a fan of him. Whatever. He got this one right. Sure. 30-27. Look at Chris Kidman. Look at this guy giving Moura 2 rounds in this fight. What a criminal. Oh, this guy should be investigated. What a criminal. 2 rounds to Moura. Nope. That's wrong. That's outright wrong. He gave the first 2 rounds to Moura. That's outright wrong. There's no defending that. You can defend that first round possibly with control time. You're wrong, but you could possibly defend it. That second round, nope. Taylor Lapilus versus Cody Stamann. Stamann just wasn't able to manage this range. This is the whole fight. We'll talk about what happened, but I could just sum it up as this: Lapilus is really good at maintaining that range and punishing you for trying to come in. Lapilus using that jab well, keeping the range. Stamann having to lunge his way in, look to land those overhand rights, not able to find the mark with too many of them. Lapilus was warned about the fingers multiple times and then poked Stamann in the eye. No warning for that. No point deduction for that. Stamann keeps the pressure on, attempting to take down and landing a bit. Lapilus outlanding him, finding the mark with those knees up the middle. He just did more damage, 30-22. Clearly his round. I had it 10-9. So Lapilus now landing a low kick and poking the eyes in the clinch. Nothing Stamann is doing is working well, right? He's not able to outdo Lapilus in any one of these things that he wants to do. He's able to land. The striking numbers in this round was 35-22, very similar to the first round. But he's just, everything he does, Lapilus is able to counter and outland him, do more damage to him. So another kick to the nuts from Lapilus. There was 2 of them in this round. Wonder if he could take a point after 4 fouls. He poked him twice in the eye, kicked him twice in the nuts. No fouls, no calls, no point deduction. Then the less disciplined fighter is winning here, right? Stamann finding the mark with some low kicks, and looks like that could have been something that he threw earlier. I don't know why he waited so long to throw those. I think those were there all night, and he could have taken advantage of that. He just didn't land those early. Stamann finally gets a takedown. Lapilus grabs the fence with his toes to get up. Again, I understand when you're sticking your feet in there, but it's this additive thing. The less disciplined fighter is winning here, as far as being in control of your weapons and stuff. Stamann having better head movement, still getting tagged. Just not able to land, man. He got outlanded here 35-15. Here's the thing. From what I can tell by all the statistics that I've been taking note of, it's that one, fouling does not, the fouler very rarely, if ever, gets punished. Okay, so fouling is bare minimum a neutral, a net neutral activity. Second, fighters who are less disciplined about committing fouls, thus more likely to commit them, tend to be fighters that win more often, especially in close fights or in close scenarios. Right? It's not the fouls themselves that seem to be causing the win. Because a nut shot, yes, it can affect the fight, and we've seen it affect fights. And does it have does it give you an advantage over your opponent? Absolutely. Same with an eye poke. Those things absolutely do have a cause and effect. But is it directly related to them winning the fight? Not always. In fact, I would say more often than not, it's not directly related. But it seems like the fighter who is willing, the fighter who is not willing to stay super disciplined and pay attention to all their tools and definitely not foul, right? Accidents happen. Everybody does it. But there are some fighters who do it more often. And a lot of times those fighters find their ways to victory, especially in close scenarios. So what that tells me is that if you're an up-and-coming, I've said this before, but more flippantly and kind of kind of just being a shithead about it. But, I've said it, if you're an up-and-coming fighter, just foul. Who cares? Just go for it. But I think there's more of a philosophy that they could follow to be more successful. And that's a fundamental understanding of what it takes to win. And it's just throw everything. Throw it all out there. Throw caution to the wind when it comes to your strikes. Now, you could still play defensive. What I mean is your targets. Who gives a shit if it strays high and hits the nuts? Who gives a shit if it's an eye poke? Who gives a shit if you grab the fence when you turn around? Who gives a shit? None of this. Who cares if you hit the back of the head? That one especially. Who cares? No one gives a shit about that. Who cares if you grab a glove? Who cares if you headbutt? Who cares? Most of the time, it doesn't count against you. So catering your game around those rules only hampers you. It only hurts you. Now, this doesn't mean that some middle-of-the-road, barely in the UFC type fighter is beating a champion by fouling more. No. What this does is put you ahead in the margins, give you that advantage that the other person doesn't have. That's what I've noticed. This wasn't so much that. Lapilus is absolutely the better striker. He looked great. But part of that might be he just doesn't give a shit if he pokes you in the eye. He doesn't give a shit if he kicks you in the nuts. He's just going to keep throwing the same shit. He doesn't care. And that could be part of what makes a fighter better. The ability to just not care. Rayanne Amanda taking on Puja Tomar. Boy, we've had a lot of fun decisions. I want to see this one. Let's look at some stats, shall we? Rayanne Amanda. Oh, it's Rayanne dos Santos now. Sorry. They had her weigh in as Rayanne Amanda. Weird. Tomar looking for the low kicks and the side kicks, looking twitchy and really fast. Santos is trying to walk her down, swinging big with that right hand, getting caught with the lead hook and the straight right as she comes in. They are exchanging kicks, and Tomar getting the better of it to the body and multiple times to the leg. Looks like when she sits down on her kick, she kicks harder. Dos Santos able to land a couple big hooks and finally get Tomar stationary for a second. Tomar looks like she's slowing down and just standing and swinging, maybe an adrenaline dump. Tomar closed the gap, and with that forward pressure, I think she takes the first round. She outstruck her as the round went on, 36-27. She had more forward pressure. That octagon control is important when it comes to close fights. So there's nothing about this first round you can give to Dos Santos, in my opinion. Second round, side kick from Tomar is nasty, and the low kicks have a lot of snap. Even fight with Dos Santos following again. Tomar landing the more visually impressive shots here, and get impressive shots, and maybe she did more damage, but yeah, I gave that first 2 rounds. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. I gave her the first 2 rounds. The last round here. Tomar backing up for the most part, landing those body kicks. Dos Santos finding the mark with the big hooks a couple times, and that will probably win her the round. So I had it 29-28 for Tomar. Dos Santos easily winning. I thought she'd win that last round. I don't know why I scored it weird when I was watching it live. Oh, that's okay. All right. So this one's all over the place. Matt Jones, don't know who the fuck that is, gave all 3 rounds to Tomar. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that last round goes to Tomar. Did I really give that for... Oh, I think Dos Santos. I think I wrote down the wrong name for who I wanted to score for because I had 19-19 in the second round. Oops, I screwed up. I gave this fight to Dos Santos. I gave her the first and the last round. In the second round, I gave to Tomar. Even though Tomar landed more strikes, I thought that Dos Santos did more damage. So, anyway, looking at these scorecards here, when you have 30-27 swinging both ways, it's never a good sign. Usually it's a sign of incompetence. In this case, I think it was relatively close, although I will defend Saul D'Amato's card more here because of that last round. Not his second or first round. I don't even care about those. Those were relatively close. If you call that, you call that. Dos Santos landed more damage in this last round, was moving forward, and that was clearly her round, and the other 2 judges gave it the other way. So, I think Saul D'Amato had it right here. Appreciate the guy for picking his shit up. All right, that's it. I'm calling it there. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel. That way you know the next video is coming out. I'd super appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And then also hit the like button if you like this kind of stuff. All right. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Love y'all. Peace.